right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Just 4 days left to the polls. That's 96 hours to go. And the Daily Nation is calling it playing dirty. That's what they're leading with. They're saying there's a presidential duel there. Uhuru Kenyatta, who backs frontrunner Raila Odinga, who for the top job, is caught in a wrestling match with the Ruto that has gone to the dogs. In fact, yesterday, the president spoke about this particular incident, why he's changed his mind on supporting his deputy. Listen.
Unaweza kuanza safari na mtu na kwa roho yako you mean well, si ndio? Na unatamani mtamaliza pamoja, yeah? Lakini ukiwa unafika pale karibu, mnaendelea, unaangalia nyuma, unaona kiti ya nyuma imerushwa nje, na kuna mwingine ameishika huko, unamuuliza passenger ndio huyo ameporwa mali, hai mnaendelea. Tutafika pale mwisho hata gari yenyewe itakuwa na chassis peke yake, kuna gari ya kuata ya kupatiana.
Okachi, is this really about the people, or is it about personal interests based on what you've had in the campaign trail all along, and now we just have 4 days?
Yeah. Trevor, the reality is that politics is about interest, and the interest is not about people. In fact, people are always a means to these politicians achieving their interest. So, and that is why we always say that all these very flowery manifestos and the launches are never followed up by action. And you can never isolate and say it is only from one politician and not the other. It stems from all those who vied for MCAs and succeeded all the way to the presidency. I can tell you, none can stand here and tell you under oath that they have even implemented even close to a half of what they promised. And now they have new manifestos which are promising more than even heaven. And people still clap for them, people will vote. And I think the problem is with the citizenry, because we don't take our politicians to account. If you never delivered, you have no moral authority to stand and give further promises. Deal with the first one. It is like a person who has given promises to a lady, married her, and not delivered, and is now going to give promises to the next lady, and the next lady believes that for some reason, miraculously, this person will fulfill. It does not work. So the problem always comes back to us, the voters, and it is for us now to say, if you don't do, we'd rather deal with new people.
Yeah.
I'd rather once bitten, twice shy.
And Omari, accountability issues. The president is now saying that he realized at some point that gurudumu ya gari natolewa, hata kuna gari utapeana huko mwisho, but yet there was no action that was taken. Is this just simply lamenting over issues that the public cannot even verify?
There are two things that are very clear. There is His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, the executive head of the state. There is Uhuru Kenyatta, the politician. Uhuru Kenyatta today is talking about politics. He was in my backyard in Kisii, Nyamira yesterday, and he was talking about the political agenda that they entered into a political marriage, him and Dr. William Ruto. In the course of what they had agreed to do, Dr. William Ruto did not do that. Instead, he believes, the president believes, that Dr. William Ruto sabotaged the agreed principles on what they used to do. And that is what he's saying. He looks behind, he finds he has already gone with the one seat. He gets the next step, he finds Dr. William Ruto has left with the steering wheel. So what remains is not even a vehicle, not even a chassis to hand over to him, William Ruto, or to Raila Odinga. So what the president is actually saying is that in the second term of his political life and his legacy project, his deputy sabotaged that agenda. The reason why the president had to go back to look for Raila Odinga and to bring into force an executive order to bring all government coordination of services under Dr. Fred Matiang'i is that for the continuity of this nation, the president had to do that extraordinary issue. And that's why he's saying, Kenyans, yes, I promised that I will grant 10 years if I get it, and also support William Ruto for 10 years. Yeah. But the question is, do you support somebody who has already taken the spare wheel of the vehicle? He has already taken the engine of the vehicle. He has completely made you with an intention to fail. And that's what the president is explaining very clearly, that I was not bound to deliver my promise if that person, the terms of that promise have been breached. Legally, that is what the position is saying.
Yeah.
As the head of state, he sits at a very peculiar point that this country cannot allow President Uhuru Kenyatta to leave it in a situation that is not as safe as he was given the same country that was safe under the late President Kibaki. So that is what he's saying. As a head of state, 44 million Kenyans look at me that I must provide leadership. I cannot provide leadership by not telling the Kenyans that I feel the country is safer in the hands of Raila Odinga. And that is why the president has come out very openly, very categorical, that these people have looked at them.
Yeah.
Is this a narrative that happened in Kasarani? Yes. One time, the deputy president, Professor George Saitoti, at Kasarani was expecting to be endorsed. But when the names were read, his name was not there. And Professor Saitoti asked the late President Moi that, hey, what has happened? Moi told him, in leadership, there is no friendship.
Yeah.
This country is bigger than our true friendship. And that is what the president is saying. This country is bigger than my friendship between me and the deputy president.
Okay.
This country will be safer with Azimio, and this country will be safer with Raila Odinga and Martha Karua. That is the message the president is trying to say. And anybody who has depicted a character of sabotage of his boss, then what will happen when that person ascends to power? That is the message of the president.
But Sosion, who is fooling who here? The deputy president says the president abandoned the Big Four agenda for the handshake. The president is saying his deputy abandoned him. So who's fooling who here?
I think let's call a spade a spade. The source of all this political confusion in Kenya is the dishonesty of the president himself. That's a fact. Those of us who have been in this country, those of us who have worked close to government, and we have seen the changing body language, demeanor, and even interest of the president. And when the president changes his interest away from you, he will fight you very furiously, without mercy. And if you get down to the alliance of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, back to 2013, look at their association, how they came together. Both of them had a case in the ICC, and I think largely that is what brought them together, and that rallied together the people of Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, and the cycle of conflicts during elections ended because the two communities gelled together. And with time, the interests of Uhuru have changed, and they're very strange. And if you come along his way, he will fight you extremely furiously. I think here, and Kenyans we have seen, why is it that Mount Kenya, the base of Uhuru Kenyatta, is even resisting and disagreeing with Uhuru totally? Because you can tell lies. There are lies that you can tell. But, and in this whole scenario, I don't think the president is honest. And he is mishandling the transition. All what he ought. And he's trying to play the Moi games of 2002, trying to dictate who should be who, which Kenyans are now standing against. We Kenyans in 2002 refused the guidance of Moi and And if you're an exiting president, prepare to honorably hand over and go home.
Yeah.
The way Kibaki did. Kibaki did not tell us whom to vote for. He waited until a president was elected and he handed over.
Yeah.
And I think that was decent politics, as opposed to what was done in 2002. And you can recall the humiliation that even Moi faced at Uhuru Park.
Yeah.
Why? Because he wanted to impose somebody on the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya took a decision. It's not any different in this of 2022. And why did we give a term limit of 10 years to a president? So that at the end of 10 years, you exit and exit completely. You don't turn around again and try to chaperone politics.
Yeah.
Like now, look at the ruling party of the president, Jubilee, which he has destroyed it himself with his own hands. So that right now, he doesn't even have a working ruling party that has the moral authority to govern. And he has gone into another arrangement where he's the chairman of a coalition. That is not right. We must be able to sustain and strengthen institutions for purposes of governance.
Yeah.
and strengthening moral politics in this country. I think Uhuru Kenyatta is morally wrong. The only good thing he said the other day is that he will be prepared to hand over to whoever is elected by the people of Kenya. And that person will be elected on Tuesday. And of course, I remember him talking in vernacular, and he has that knack of trying to talk in vernacular, which I take great exceptions myself. I don't remember Moi speaking in vernacular anyway, even the way and Kibaki and the rest. This is not right. I think the body language of the president is destroying the unity and the moral fabrics of this country, whereas the nature of politics that we have this time round in 2022 is really strongly issue-based, and that is where we want Kenyans to focus on.
Okay.
Even some of these dirty and emotional issues are actually symptoms of the deep conflicts of politics of this campaign process, which of course will resolve itself. But the entire decision, as has been stated, the court of public opinion, the voters.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how the president behaves, whatever he does, whatever we have read, his own personal interest.
Okay.
Not sincere, not genuine at all, those of us who have worked in this government, and we think the people of Kenya should then be left to take their decisions. And we have seen the president with his own backyard of Mount Kenya. He's not even agreeing with his own, meaning there is something wrong. Okay. If he doesn't have peace with his own people at home, then he cannot purport to try and guide the country. Let the people of Kenya
decide
freely, independently, decide, vote on Tuesday, and vote a president of their choice.
Prof, is the president wrong to reveal all these details this late in the day and not give exact details anyway? Because, you know, he talks about all of it is covered in euphemism. Gari imetolewa gurudumu, chases peke yake nimebaki. Nobody says this is what he did. This is the case that I have against him. Is he wrong to be revealing all these details this late in the game?
Trevor, three things.
Yeah.
I think that Sossion is misleading the public when he tries to compare Moi's endorsement of Uhuru and Uhuru's endorsement of Raila, for these reasons. Number one, at the point that Moi was endorsing Uhuru, Uhuru had not even been in politics for 5 years. He had lost in the previous election his Gatundu South seat. He had only late in the day, after Makto was forced to resign to become a nominated MP, and then later made one of the vice chairs. Number three, he didn't have any political base that one could talk about. And within KANU, he was very still young politically.
So to that extent, him being endorsed over more experienced politicians, whether you're talking of Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, who had entered into a cooperation and finally merged his party with KANU, Salia Mudavadi that had come into politics in 1989, Noah Katanangala, who had been in politics for all this time. By all intents and purposes, one could call Uhuru Kenyatta a project then, because he was being fished from nowhere and being placed at the pedestal of becoming the holder of the highest office in the land. Fast track that to Uhuru endorsing Raila Odinga, a veteran politician who by all standards has even won election in this country. A politician who has a solid base that he has maintained from 2007 up to 2022. A leader of a political machinery in the name of ODM that has presence throughout the country. If you want to tell us that you can equate the endorsement of Uhuru in 2002 and the endorsement of Raila Odinga in 2022, a man who has taken on the state for all these years to the extent that the state fails his might, I think Kenyans will look at you and tell you, you don't know what you're saying. Number two, in this country, there is a political history. The only time a vice president succeeded the president was only through death, when Jomo Kenyatta died in office and Moi went to power. If you look at the relationships of presidents and their vice presidents from independence, Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi, you saw the split. Moi and Kibaki, you saw the split. Moi and Saitoti, that he has just talked about, you saw the split. And basically what that tells you, as Sosion correctly says, is that the marriage between Uhuru and Ruto was a marriage, a political marriage of convenience. They were all facing the ICC. And they were basically saying, if we go into this upcoming election, we will be slaughtered differently. So why don't we come together? And therefore, there was no philosophy behind the marriage. There was no ideology behind the marriage. There was no what you can call a common platform of ideals that brought them together. And what the president, back to finally zero in on the question that you have said, you'll remember that the MOU between the president's party, TNA, and the URP was 50-50. And if you go deep to Jubilee and unpack what became of that 50-50, cabinet minister, 50-50. In fact, the wing of Uhuru is now saying that Ruto went for the very juicy ministry, treasury, agriculture, infrastructure, including energy. And what the president is saying, again, if you talk to Jubilee insiders, they'll tell you that after the 2017 election, in the first parliamentary group meeting, they had already parted ways. They were only called back after the Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah.
That, please. So basically, what the president is revealing now is that as a politician, and I think Dunstan has mentioned, in politics, there are no permanent friends or enemies.
Yeah.
There are only interests. And Uhuru Kenyatta sticking with William Ruto in 2017, it appears to me, was only to win the election. Immediately he got in, he was like, now, based on the experience I've had with you, 2013 to 2017, and since I will not need you because I will not be running in 2022, I want now to correct the ship.
Yeah.
And I think what the president is saying now is that Kenyans, between 2013 and 2017, I was a hostage.
Yeah.
And I had to remove the shackles from me after 2017.
All right. Okacha, I see you have something to say, but let me bring up some feedback. First of all, then we'll come back to that conversation. At Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. Let's bring that up and see what you're saying online. A lot of them are coming through. You can also text in 22422. That's the SMS line. Tell us your name and where you're texting from. And let's see. Mtetezi Masese says, Honorable Sosion put it right. The timing is bad. It is an unnecessary sideshow. We now have candidates who have opportunity to impeach them at the ballot depending on their integrity. The call is to voters not to elect candidates with tainted characters, okay? See what else you're saying. Tyson says, in this country, integrity is measured with what the big boys want us to believe. If you go to their laundry, then allegations are dropped. Courts are used to intimidate and get money legally, thanks to some judges who are upholding the law. Okay. Dr. Alo Kochieng says, this is the way I think about politics. We want two diametrically opposed things from a politician. On one hand, we want them to be bastions of moral integrity, perfect people, saints. And on the other hand, we want them to be effective leaders. Okay. Bobo Tieno says, Chapter 6 ceased when President Uhuru took over power in 2013 alongside his running mate DP William Ruto, while they still had ICC cases hanging on their necks. Okay. Engineer Lazaro says, politics is all about personal interest. An agreement signed in a boardroom meeting can't be used as a scapegoat to force the president into a toxic relationship with his ever-vocal DP. Okay. Isaac Mudusi says, Uhuru is trying hard to discredit his deputy president from succeeding him. Whatever he's saying would have been taken serious if he spoke it earlier, not now. The timing issue, okay? Bobo Tieno Wino says, President Uhuru and DP William Ruto are playing political mind games and it is working so well for the second in command. Kuna mtu ana chase war. What if they were together right now? Raila Odinga wouldn't have teared them apart terribly. Okay. Okach, the timing, yeah. Yes, I'll come to Sosion, then I go to Kwach. Yes.
Yes. Well, I agree with my good friend, Adam Zalo, very largely. But I think there's one thing that you're misinterpreting about endorsement. Endorsement is endorsement. Whether you endorse a greenhorn or an experienced politician, as an exiting president who has institutionalized certain interests, then it means you will be having the greatest intent of perpetuating your interest. I didn't say here Uhuru endorsement of Raila, then Raila is wrong. No, I've said endorsement by Uhuru Kenyatta is similar to the endorsement that Moi did. It is endorsement. And that fundamentally politically is not right.
Okay.
It can be an issue of point of arguments. Number two, 2002, Kenyans in their own wisdom picked an experienced former vice president through their own volition and decision. And indeed, that is a point of reference. It's not only when Jomo Kenyatta died and Moi took over automatically. in 2002, Kenyans, by merit, picked a former vice president, and that's Kibaki. And it is not any different in 2022, where the president has disagreed with the deputy, and Kenyans are using their own instrument and tools to give merit to the deputy president. And this is a fact. It's happening. And the Kenyans are seeing sense in that. And then number 3, you've agreed that, of course, when Uhuru went to elections in 2017, deep at his heart, he was not honest to his own deputy, because he started war himself against his own deputy right after election. So really, you are agreeing and justifying the fact that all this confusion we are seeing are instituted by one person.
Okay, Okach, Prof, I'll give you a chance to respond. Okach.
Thank you so much. I think the issue, if we actually diagnose it, is how these coalitions are made, or these sort of unions are made. We have what we call marriages of convenience. President Kenyatta and Ruto came together without an agenda. The only agenda was to defeat, or to use that to defeat the ICC process. And that was the only agenda. Immediately that was done, then that relationship went to the rocks. So to that particular extent, it wasn't even to defeat Raila. It was about, and they believed that if Raila got to power then the ICC road would actually be paved better. So that was the agenda. And the problem we have today, and that's why even past that, there's never been any other agenda bringing them together. This is a relationship that did not have courtship. You just meet today, tomorrow you are married. Of course, there'll be issues. And that is why a relationship like the one that Raila and Uhuru are having is a bit better. They've had time to be together. Remember, these people, when they were coming together, they were not even sure. They even at a point said, let's make Mudavadi the president. They were not even certain. The only issue was that interest. To that particular extent, bring it now fast forward to today. We are going to still have these issues today. One, if you look at the Azimio coalition, these people have just come together last minute. What is their unifying agenda? Nothing. The moment, if Raila Odinga is elected, let me tell you, we will still have these hues and cries for the longest. If look at Kenya Kwanza, what has brought Mudavadi and Ruto and Wetangula together last minute? They've not had time for courtship. They will still, if that coalition is elected, immediately there'll be issues. The history that we have tells us a lot about this. In terms of politics of deceit, we've had Odinga Jaramogi complaining about deceit from Kenyatta, the first president. We've had Kibaki complaining of mistreatment from Moi. We've had Murungi, we've had Saitoti saying Moi has actually sold him out. We've had Raila during the Nusumkate issue, again saying Kibaki did not keep his promises. We are having Ruto saying the same thing today. So if we look at the way these unions come together, it is not going to be the end. But one thing is very important, is that once someone is elected president, you become a father figure. And in fact, that is defined in the Constitution. So that is the presidency. So when the presidency decides to now play politics directly, it then means there'll be a problem there. And at this particular stage, you look at a place like Tanzania, when we had Jakaya Kikwete, he was supporting, yes, Magufuli, but did not go out to vilify the opponent. We've seen Nelson Mandela, when he was supporting Thabo Mbeki, did not come out to vilify, because you are a father figure. And the problem that comes is, imagine if that person you are vilifying is elected president. What will be the relationship between the sitting president and a former president? It will be a very bad day in Kenya when you have a former president being mistreated, a former president being hounded just because of that relationship. And we've seen it in Zambia many a times. And at this particular point, a very good case in point is the Obama. When Obama really was antagonistic towards Trump, it was very clear that these people, it was not a good thing. And even that handing over ceremony, if you reflect, when Trump was actually now going to take power, there was a lot of tension, which is not good for a country. So as a father figure, those are things we want to look at and even say, as much as the president has a vote, as much as the president would have, can make a decision in terms of who to support. And I believe Kibaki supported someone, only that he did not come out to vilify the other person because he voted. So by that, he did not vote for two people. So it is something that we ought to say, as much as and we ought to be honest to ourselves here, that a president must live to that expectation of a president and do not vilify, because all these are your children.
People. But Omari, can you really delink Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, and Uhuru Kenyatta, the citizen?
One thing that the law dealt with it, the Constitution provides in Article 38 the right to the political rights of every citizen. One, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is a citizen of this country. He has a right to associate with whoever he wants. Double speak. William Ruto said, you promised me 10 years. And now I'm demanding my 10 years. Did President Uhuru Kenyatta cease being a president when that demand was being put? But now, because the demand is not being fulfilled, then it is wrong for President Uhuru Kenyatta now to support Raila Odinga. It could have been right if President Uhuru Kenyatta supported William Ruto. That is the double speak that we need to be very clear, that you do not change positions because the promise is now geared towards a different person and not a different person. And the president has been very clear. I did say there is a very thin line between His Excellency, the President, the head of state, and President Uhuru Kenyatta, the politician. The politician, it is through politics that the president attains the power of statecraft. You cannot remove that from the president. And as I said, the president was not talking in Kisii as His Excellency, the head of state. He was talking as a politician who has rights. Number two, my good friend, Honorable Siona, said that President Uhuru Kenyatta completely demolished Jubilee. I want to tell him that that is a political narrative. Where I come from in West Mogrango constituency, we have an incoming member of parliament under Jubilee ticket called Steve Mogaka. The whole country, Jubilee has fronted from governor's position downwards to very many positions to MCAs. So any question about whether Jubilee or UDA has more elected members is a question to be determined on the 9th of August. For now, those are political parties on the ballot box. Let me bring this issue. Why now? And this is the dilemma everybody is saying. William Ruto started his campaigns way back in 2013, positioning himself to 2022. And that's what the president is saying. From 2013, there was no focus on what we had agreed to do, deliver the promises for citizens. My deputy from 2013 was actually having a position not known in law called a co-president. Uhuru Ruto does not exist. And that is why the Constitution has provided that only duties are assigned to the president. The deputy is delegated duties by the head of state. But William Ruto, as a professor says it, captured and put the president as a captive from 2013. By 2017, the president's mind was very clear. What will I tell Kenyans when I hand over power at Kasarani? A failed legacy, I have got to take charge and deal with the president. So the president is simply telling the political aspect. And he is entitled to bring it out. What is the effect? To me, I'm worried about what is the effect. The effect is that the very many undecided voters who were not sure where to go seems to be moving in droves to Raila Odinga's camp. And that is the issue that Honorable Sossion is saying.
Yeah.
No, the president should be stopped. The president has a right to campaign for everybody. And I was telling some friends of mine yesterday, the question now is that the president's input into this election is now like the Omanyala, the dash, the 100 meters dash. The president has caused a lot of dust. Remember, the battleground is on a desert. Kenya is on a desert for politics. The dust coming out, the William Ruto's wheelbarrow, which does not have a windscreen, cannot be able to block that dust. And that dust is what is scaring my good friend here that, hey, boss, we never prepared to get a windscreen for our wheelbarrow. The president is emitting so much dust and we have slowed down, and you saw the tears at Karen. That is the dust that the president has put. The final punch the president has unleashed for Azimio is so devastating, and that is what I call the final body blow to the UDA juggernaut that started in 2013, but the last dash, they don't have the power to stop the president and Azimio from gaining the majority votes.
Prof, you wanted to respond to what
I think Sossion is missing my point.
Yeah.
When I gave the history of president with vice presidents, I talked of a president and a vice president that are already in power. I didn't mean a vice president who had been pushed out of power and later became a vice president. That's point number one. But if he wants to go that route in terms of winning this election and use history for path dependence in terms of what will happen, then the history, Sossion, is very clear that no candidate, vice president or not president, has won the presidency on their first attempt. So you might want to look at that history. Then, to Okach, look here, it depends on what kind of political system you have. If you have a pure parliamentary system, then the head of state, whether a monarch or a king, is above the partisan politics, day-to-day politics, because he's the head of state, and you have a different head of government in a prime minister who plays day-to-day politics. In a pure presidential system like the one we adopted in 2010, the head of state and the head of government or executive is intertwined. In other words, there are functions that you carry out as head of state, and there are functions that you carry as head of government playing day-to-day politics. And that's why Obama had to play politics. That's why George Bush Jr. had to play politics. That's why Ronald Reagan had to play politics, because they are in a pure presidential system. Now, back to the question of, because it's a narrative that has been created here in Kenya, and it's not true, that an outgoing president should just take their hands behind them and say, me, I'm going home. Let the politics of the day play out. And Dunstan really hits it on the head. If there had been no difference between Uhuru and Ruto, would they have a problem, Uhuru supporting Ruto? Because they keep on reminding us of 10 Yangu, 10 Yake. Would Uhuru have ceased to be this head of state that they are now claiming that he should be? Hypocrisy. Number two, the Tanzania that is being referred to. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, when finally he realized that his socialist policy, that he believed on so passionately, had given way all over the world to capitalism, decided to step aside. He was basically saying, these structural adjustment programs that the donor and international community is compelling developing countries to adopt, in my soul as Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and what I believe in Ujamaa, I cannot preside over it. And therefore, I'm stepping aside and endorsing Hassan Mwinyi to take over as the president. But I, as Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, because I'm the one who presided over TA, then TANU, then CCM, Hassan Mwinyi will be president. And I, as Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, I'll remain the leader of the Chama Pinduzi. We are not talking of something that is out of the blues. It happens, and I can give other examples. So this narrative that a president is just supposed to go home, our neighbor right here has done it.
Okay, Okache, you want to respond there?
Yes, thank you. You know, whatever we are doing, and Professor Olo is actually a full professor of law. He should know this better than myself. That the Constitution reigns supreme. And the Constitution under Article 131 is very, very clear. And this is where we should get our directions from in terms of the authority of the president. And remember, a president takes an oath to uphold this Constitution. So the authority of the president, we are told under Article 131, 1E, is a symbol of national unity. So in whatever you do, in the discharge of your function, which comes after this, actually in terms of hierarchy, you must ensure that you remain a symbol of national unity. It does not say when you are there, there's a way you can separate yourself from this presidency and put it aside and then become a politician. In whatever you do, you become a symbol of national unity. In whatever you utter, you become a symbol of national unity. And to that extent, it also binds the deputy president on this, because it says the president, the deputy president, and cabinet secretaries will actually work in tandem in terms of executing the executive authority in this country. So to a large extent, in whatever they utter, as long as they are in that particular position. And this is where, if Chapter 6 was even to be implemented, this particular provision will still come in handy. More importantly, if there was any doubt in terms of this, we have Article 131(2)(c), which is very clear and says that the president shall, it is a must, the president shall promote and enhance the unity of the nation. So the question that begs, which I will ask any of the panelists to say, in the utterances said yesterday, do they enhance the unity of this country, or do they divide? Will then that be a breach of this fundamental constitutional article in view of the oath that a president took? In whatever the deputy president utters, will that be said to be within the ambits of enhancing or promoting the unity of the nation? If those words will divide even one particular individual or one particular tribe or one particular semblance of the community, it falls short of the expectation of the Constitution. And we must say it as it is, because today, and I always tell people, today it will be this president, tomorrow it will be another president. We will want this particular threshold to be upheld by any person who will ever ascend to presidency.
Sosion, I'll come to you, Prof. I know, Prof, you want to... Sosion.
I think it's good we become very honest and even contextualize even other international examples. What we have here in Kenya is a president destroying an institution, a political institution. A ruling party is a critical institution. That even an exiting president can endorse a member of that party. That is common practice. Even in the US, when Ronald Reagan exited, then he supported George Bush, the member of the Republican. And we've seen Obama supporting Joe Biden of the same party. And when you give examples of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Ali Hassan Mwinyi was a member of CCM. And that is common practice. But what we are seeing here is very strange, that you destroy your own ruling party and you create another coalition, which is not even a political party, and you try to massage the law to make it relevant. I don't think that is a good culture, because what we must preserve as a country is institutions. If you look at it in 2002, we had a coalition called NAC in very good faith, guided by an MOU.
Yeah.
And at some point, the MOU was thrown out, and that split the NAC. And the consequences was the election of 2007, which almost destroyed this country. Because we destroyed, we did not carry NAC and nurture it as an institution with trust. A lot of dissents came in. So this creation of Jubilee in 2013, to some of us, we were honest that it was going to be an institution that was going to last, and that mutual trust was going to be sustained all through. But it is now at a very tragic point. And when you talk about relations of even these individuals, let me talk about relations of William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Raila Odinga. Who was the chief campaigner of Uhuru Kenyatta in 2002? It was William Ruto. And who was the chief campaigner of Raila Odinga in 2007? It was William Ruto. And so really, there are some strange relations within that. And when you look at it, I can see a character of a very consistent and honest supporter in the person of William Ruto. And now in the context of 2022, it is wrong to equate what Uhuru Kenyatta to what Julius Nyerere was doing. Nyerere was building an institution and perpetuating continuity. But what Uhuru Kenyatta is destroying and building another one. And that is not right. And I agree, a president is a symbol of unity. Even in the UK, though it's a monarchy, the Queen is prohibited and the King is prohibited from making political statements for purposes of holding
the Prime Minister who does
together.
politics.
Yes. Yeah, the Prime Minister is delegated to do business. But you see, even here, by our Constitution defining the presidency as symbol of unity is important. Okay. That the character and the behavior of the president is important. And let's look at these relations. We vote on Tuesday. William Ruto is elected the president of the Republic of Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta will be under duty to go to Moi International Sports Center and hand over leadership.
Yeah.
And he will be handing over leadership.
Which he said he would.
Against no, let's look at it. We don't want the repeat of 2002, where the huge crowds were abusing Moi at Uhuru Park. It's not right for the culture of our politics as a country. Uhuru Kenyatta can declare whom he supports. That's okay, and where he'll vote. But continuing to overindulge in these destructive utterances are not good for the country.
Okay.
Completely. And between now and Tuesday, and it is good, he has said he is going to hand over to whoever is elected. That's a good statement. But I think between now and Tuesday, because we are at the point of the election will be resolved. The conflicts of this election will be resolved by the people of Kenya voting. 4 days. And Uhuru Kenyatta should prepare for any president to be elected. Even Wachakoya can be elected. Okay. All right. He should be prepared.
All right. We're running out of time. Let me bring in proper
I think at this point, we should practice to drive, to exercise clean politics in this country.
All right.
You see, the problem I have with Kenya Kwanza is hypocrisy. You see, in 2007, Uhuru Kenyatta did what no other opposition leader has done. He endorsed a sitting president. Did they have a problem with that when they were now supporting him in 2013? That he did something that went against the international grain that he's talking about? Now, let's go to this symbol of national unity that Sosiana and Rokacha are talking about. Are you only a symbol of national unity when you are leaving office? President Kenyatta in 2017 called Raila Odinga a madman. Did they have a problem with that?
Of course.
He was a president.
Yes. Yes.
Why did he? No.
Civil war.
Let me finish.
No, let me finish.
Yeah.
William Ruto was there agreeing with the same president. When he was in bare knuckle, a sitting president, as the symbol of national unity. And he totally agreed and even buttressed. That's what you can call bare-knuckled politics. What has changed? When he supported it then, hypocrisy. Okay. And let me also say this, that all these things they are mentioning about Uhuru Kenyatta, oh, he has grabbed land, oh, Brookside is a monopoly, oh, this and this. Did Uhuru Kenyatta get those things in 2017? When he was supporting Uhuru in 2013, walking out with matching shirts and red ties, didn't he know that Uhuru has land? Didn't he know that Uhuru was running Brookside? Hypocrisy, isn't it? Only because Uhuru has changed course from the 10 years that now he has a problem with Uhuru. Hypocrisy.
Trevor, then, Professor here, when those abuses were being held, Professor was actually, and if we talk about hypocrisy, this is the best example. He's on TV, and I can remember, he was the one complaining, saying that those utterances do not depict a person who is of national standing. And they were complaining. And even if, let's even remove him from that equation, the people he's purposed to support were complaining. And it is on record. And Trevor, you are a presenter, and you can remember. So that position should remain, whether you're in power, whether you are not in power.
So it was wrong then.
It was wrong then. It is wrong now. It will be wrong tomorrow. Regardless of who
Raila Odinga and NASA.
And at that time, they were the ones telling people not to take Brookside, remember? So at that particular point, it was wrong then. Now it is now right.
That was
they don't
a
want to talk about it.
That was a racist.
It is the same issue.
Speaking of money, we agree that it was wrong then, it is wrong now, and it will be wrong in the future.
Trevor,
racist.
The only advantage we have is that Citizen TV was not a TV station that started covering politics 2017. Citizen TV has clips of what my good friend Honorable Sosiona did when his party at Bomet, when his party at Bomet just a few weeks ago rigged him out. He really lambasted the UDA. Slowly he has forgotten that, and that's why I've said Citizen TV keeps these records on the internet. It never forgets. Let us not be hypocritical when it fits us. And that's why I agree with my good friend, Professor here, that one, politics cannot be governed by legal norms. Politics will always remain politics. President Uhuru Kenyatta has a right as a political animal to do politics within the confines of the law. When I'm being told that the president is the head and the symbol of national unity, the article that creates the president creates a presidency where there is the head of state, where there is the deputy president and the cabinet. The character and conduct of His Excellency, the deputy president, from 2018 to date, has it conformed with the expectations of the office of the deputy president? It doesn't. So let us not have a double standard that for President Uhuru Kenyatta, this is what is expected. But for his own deputy, all these things are excluded. Thirdly, Trevor, when we look at the politics now that we are saying, the one I said about the wheelbarrow and the windscreen, this is the last defining moments. This is worldwide. Is it a practice worldwide of political campaigns? Yes. Do they generate heat? Yes. Does it exclude or remove the constitutional provisions of one, the assumption of office of the new coming president? It does not. President Uhuru Kenyatta will do that what the Constitution and the Assumption of Office Act compels him to do.
Okay.
And he has put it very clearly that he will comply with the law. Okay. If it is Mwaure, who Kenyans are going to vote, he will vote. 2, the president has said he has only one vote.
Yeah.
And he will vote only his vote, but he has a right to campaign for a person of his own choice.
Okay.
Lastly, Trevor, as we are winding up, let me appeal to Kenyans that if the elections, once we vote on 9th, let us not go to war.
Okay.
Let us not dispute the results by violence.
Okay.
In the Supreme Court, today is a judicial day. They are going to give their statement, the constitutional requirement. There are enough judges at the Supreme Court, 7.
All right.
Okach will tell you there are more than 21,000 advocates.
All right.
Any election dispute should be resolved through the judicial process.
Right.
And we wish every Kenyan a good voting day as the elections are coming to an end.
Let's bring up the feedback. Let's bring up the feedback faster. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya is the hashtag Daybreak as we wind up on this conversation. So, Sion, I know you want to respond, but we've run out of time. I have to bring up the feedback and then close on this. Let's see what you're saying here really quick. That is Morris. K says, in a marriage, there's also separation and divorce. Now that is what happened between Ruto and Uhuru. Please also remind Sosion, let Moi was introducing Uhuru to politics. Of course, there's no way he would have won. Raila is not being introduced. Okay. But Site says the video is Uhuru describing himself as head of Jubilee Party. Removal of parts was him removing leaders of majority, Duale, Murkomen, Whips, Washiali, and Gihika, chairman of parliamentary committees, etc. Now his party is doing 2%. He sabotaged his own party. Okay. President Uhuru's endorsement of Baba is the best thing that ever happened to this country. He has broken the cycle of 2 communities leading Kenya, and for that, kudos to him. Okay. Saul Trigger says, I'm totally in agreement with Professor Olo over the endorsement of Raila by Uhuru. Looking at Raila's political history, it's only a joker or 2008 kid who can call Raila project. Countries and multi-parties we are enjoying came through his efforts. What has Ruto done? Okay. Olesile says both the president and his deputy are playing political mind games to Baba, the innocent. Let the best candidate win. All right. That's where we have to leave it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, there are only 1,882 positions. There are 16,000 people vying for those positions. So 14,000 people are going to lose in this election. So you're more likely to lose. Just maintain peace. All right? Bye for now.